Welcome to part 2 of your ILM Level 3 Award in Leadership and Management assignment tutorial for developing yourself and others. So if we firstly look at assessment criteria 2.1, it asks you to briefly analyse learning and development options to meet the needs of self and another person. So what I would be doing is looking at every possible avenue which will allow an individual or yourself to develop. So whether that's internal development or external development. And this could be coming to development programs, attending conferences, seminars, webinars, online learning. It could be doing an external qualification. It could be being a member of a professional body. It could also be things like job shadowing, receiving mentoring, receiving coaching. It could also be being involved in different projects. It could even be as simple as reading, watching YouTube videos, using other social media. So there's lots and lots of development options. And what you need to do is analyse in detail the options and come to some kind of conclusion about what would be the best potential option for you and your team member. So this again, you could link back to the learning styles. So somebody who's an activist might like to be involved in a project, where somebody who's a reflector might like to have some learning and do some, or might like to have some online learning and might like to do some reading. Okay, so it's about coming to a conclusion about what's the best option. 1.2 is about identifying support mechanisms for the development of self and another person. So who is there to support you? What can you use to support you? So who internally and externally, and what? So for example, HR manager, your own manager, L&D, colleagues, peers, and externally you could look at career coaches, tutors, etc., etc. So looking at several support mechanisms, 5 or 6 at least, for both yourself and the team member, and making sure that they are appropriate and there's some detail in behind those. So a manager can support you in what way? L&D can support you in what way? Your colleagues can support you in what way? So a little bit of detail in there. 2.3 is prepare a development plan to achieve a learning objective for yourself or another team member. So rather than and, it says or here, but you might want to do for both. So there's a thorough and detailed development plan, and I've provided you with a template for that. And that template reflects some of the titles here that are in the Good Pass criteria around time scale, resource implications, and that there's good links between the area for improvement or the development area and the actual action that can be taken. So we want to make sure that that development plan is SMART. In other words, it's specific, where possible, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound, being really important. Okay, so that development plan you could put into the body of the assignment, or you could put it into the appendix, but in the body of assignment do some explanation around those actions. Okay, so I wouldn't just leave it blank and pointing towards the appendix. I would have something in the body of the assignment as well. But you want to make sure that it's pretty detailed in there. So the example I've given you in the development plan is quite basic. An example of maybe a development area would be to improve my management techniques. So to go to a management course wouldn't be enough. That would be one of the solutions. But there would also be something around exposure to managing people, managing projects, etc. So there would be more to it, going to leadership and management conferences. And the final criteria is describe a method that could be used to monitor and develop yourself and another team member. So any approaches to monitoring, and you've got a great tool already existing within THB around talk time. So that's a great way of monitoring, having check-ins, reflecting back, moving forward, etc. Different times of the year they may be more frequent or infrequent, but there's an expectation that that takes place throughout the year. So a great method there, and again it would need to be described in a sort of a step-by-step fashion. So what happens at this stage, what happens at that stage. Any performance management system will allow you to do that. So I would describe that and describe it in detail with your step-by-step. So arrange check-in, and even down to the time scale, the location of that check-in, who sends the invitation. And really, you want the team member to be doing that, to be driving their own development, obviously. And then check-in conversation, the outcomes of that in terms of ongoing development, and that's inputted back into talk time again. Maybe there's some feedback put on the talk time system as well, and maybe opportunity for people to ask for feedback on the talk time. That's a great way of supporting somebody in their development as well. So using the step-by-step approach.